In this video, we'll be going through the top 100 crypto and discussing if they've topped or not for this cycle. Now, before I continue on, let me make one thing clear. I'm still extremely bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Instead, the point of this video is to weigh the opportunity cost of being in certain coins over others. In other words, are you mid-curving it to get a 3, 4, 5x when instead you can be getting into coins that may give you that or more by considering things like TA, catalysts, and other basic parameters. Starting with Bitcoin, no, I don't think Bitcoin has topped. In fact, I'm about as bullish as I've ever been this cycle, to the point where I may even need to raise my targets. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Then we have ETH, and of course not. Ethereum has not topped. It will make new all-time highs, and I'm very bullish ETH going forward. In fact, for the remainder of this cycle, I'm more bullish ETH than I am Bitcoin or Solana. And if we could just get to somewhat lower prices on the USD, maybe 2000 and under, that may be one of the best R&R trades for this cycle. And I think I'll be picking up quite a bit more at those levels, where base case targets after that are somewhere in this orange box between 6 and 8,000, but possibly and dare I say probably even more. Then the third biggest market cap, XRP, not a chance. The most bullish thing in crypto right now. Conversation with this one isn't will it break highs, it'll be how much higher can it get. So very bullish XRP, this one is not even a discussion. Then we have Solana, and no, Solana has not topped. That said though, out of the bigger caps, I am a bit reserved on its upside from here. In my opinion, it is way too consensus. Solana Bitcoin also isn't looking that good. One thing I'm very comfortable saying is that Solana Bitcoin will not make new highs. And so if upside is capped to this level here, in my opinion, you're asking for quite a bit for Solana to get deeper into this range. If you haven't already, I would seriously start considering the Solana to ETH rotation. During the making of this video, it's currently at this level, and we'll come back in the future and see where it's at. This one is probably closer to a top than not. Then we have BNB, and no, the Ponzi has not topped. Dogecoin I think is the real first question, but in my opinion not really. I don't think it's topped. I think the bigger question with this is, will it make new all-time highs? In other words, will it get past 74 cents? And I think it has a real decent shot. So no, Doge has not topped for this cycle. Then we have Cardano, and kind of the same thing as Doge. It has pulled back quite a bit, but with the recent pullback in altcoins that we saw, and given the type of expansion we saw, I mean, this pullback, all things considered, are not that bad. So no, I definitely don't think Cardano has topped for this cycle. And then we have Tron TRX, and even with this massive wick, I don't think it's topped, but the bigger thing with this one is probably that there's better opportunities out there. I mean, realistically, with the type of market cap that it is, how much more do you want out of this coin? And if you want safety, as we discussed, I think there's way better alternatives. Then we have Chainlink. I think Link has a real decent shot of making new highs this cycle, and I'm talking all-time highs. So no, it definitely hasn't topped. It barely sneezed on this pullback. Other coins caught it way worse. I think Link does very well. Then we have Avalanche, and now this one is a real debate. Biggest problem with AVAX is that it doesn't really have the network effects that those coins I talked about before it do. And the biggest sign of weakness is that it made a lower high this December than it did in March. That said, all in all, I don't think AVAX has topped. I still think it'll get past this March high. That said though, I don't see huge upside after that. I really don't think it'll make new all-time highs. I can see it maybe topping somewhere in this area up here, and that's it. And then we have Sui, and this one is interesting. As you know, we've been very bullish on Sui on this channel, basically caught it at the lows and one of the bigger caps we've been advocating. Now I think after this impressive run, like a lot of you maybe, I was expecting quite a pullback, but in my opinion, especially considering everything that happened recently with altcoins, Sui held up very well. It's currently 40% down, which isn't bad whatsoever. I think altcoins in general are down about 70% on average. So even in that case, if Sui had come down 70%, I still would have remained bullish on it. I think the fact that it's holding up so well, I think kind of needless to say, it will make new highs. Question is though, again, how high will it go? But very bullish Sui. Next up in order of market cap is XLM, and no, this one has not topped. You don't just get a breakout from what is 2 years worth of accumulation to then pull back 50% and dump from there. And then we have Toncoin, and Ton is good, but remember the amount of hype it had in the summer. Since then, it's been kind of meh. Now, I don't think it's topped. The chart doesn't look great, but this one I wouldn't really be holding. I think it sort of juiced out all those narratives already. Everyone understands sort of the reach they have with the amount of Telegram users, but I think the narrative part of it is kind of over. From this point on, it really has to perform and get actual, tangible, mass adoption sort of things underway. And for the most part, a lot of crypto are not able to do that. Then we have SHIB. This one I think hasn't topped because it has that retail bid, as good a retail bid as any coin there is, arguably probably the best along with Doge. That said though, probably better returns on the table with other coins. Chart looks whatever. I mean, it's SHIB, right? It's always going to catch a bid, probably at the latter end of the cycle. Then we have HBAR, and kind of the same thing as XRP and XLM. You don't just get a 2-year range, pop out of it, and call it a top. And in a minute, you'll see the comparison with coins we say that have topped and where they are in sort of their price structure. HBAR is very early in that price structure. So, I mean, this one even has the green light to go quite a bit lower, but ultimately, at the end, I do think it makes comfortable new highs. Then we have Litecoin. I mean, you tell me, this one's probably around 20% down, kind of the same deal as BNB. It's going to keep going up. A top is not in. Then we have Hyperliquid. This one I can't comment on too much. I've been talking about it extensively in my group where we have formed an entire investing thesis around it. Needless to say, very bullish. And if you're feeling stuck with this crypto thing and are looking to join a community, I've started an alpha group not so long ago where we're talking about all these different coins and different ways to get ready for the parabolic part of this cycle. If you're interested, there is a link in the description. You can also see my portfolio, what I'm holding, my highest conviction bets, and other degen trades and callouts that we have. And if you need more of a one-on-one sort of approach, we do offer that as well, although spots may be full. It's capped to 75 as I can only help so many people, but make sure to check that out if you're interested. Again, the link is in the top of the description. Then we have a chart I'm sure a lot of you haven't been watching, which is the BitGet token chart of the BitGet exchange. And turns out if you just bought this token after Trump won the election, you probably would have outperformed everyone. That said though, no, I don't think this Ponzi has topped. And then we have DOT, and no, I don't think this one's topped, but looking at this chart, I don't think it matters either. Now look, I've been dunking on DOT a lot on this channel. Evidently, you can see why. That said though, I have taken a very small position. This isn't alpha, there's no sort of insider information, none of that. But like with a couple tokens we've already talked about, like XLM, HBAR, XRP, before they made these gigantic moves, they were kind of in the same position, which was pretty much doing nothing. And then they exploded. To be fair though, there are a lot of nuances. I think these coins are running because of XRP, and XRP is running because of completely different things. DOT, quite frankly, does not have those catalysts, but it is these types of charts that often give the best opportunity if they do give an opportunity. So a very small position just because my thinking is it can't get much worse than this. Then we have Mantra, and I mean, you tell me. I think maybe the question of if this has topped best applies to this chart. But no, Mantra is very good. We showed it pretty hard before Trump won the election at $1. I have recently taken some profits out of 5x, and as vertical as it's gone, you don't want to try to time tops. Price discovery is a hell of a thing, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up quite a bit higher within these next couple weeks. I'm not sure. A quick warning though is that as much as it's gone up and as fast as it's gone up, as we've seen with a lot of crypto recently, they go down as much and as fast. Then we have Uniswap. And although the chart doesn't look that good, I don't think it's topped. The thing is with coins like Uni, there's always going to be a base bid because of what it is. Being the biggest DEX on ETH, and like we talked about, a potential ETH season getting started soon. Uni's just one that's always going to be around. Even though it very likely won't make new all-time highs, I don't think it's topped for this cycle. And it is almost holding on the minus 50% drawdown, which is a very good sign. And then we have Ondo. This one has been the center of attention quite a bit recently, sparking a lot of dialogue around its unlock. But in my opinion, those things always get extremely overplayed. They're well baked into price action way before the unlock, and now we're above that unlock date, so now I don't expect crazy upside from Ondo at this point. The market cap is a bit up there. That said though, the chart looks healthy, the chart looks good, and often what is sort of a bearish or bullish catalyst could end up being the opposite once it happens, if that catalyst doesn't play out. For example, the unlock was seen as bearish, the effects pretty much non-existent. Now we've gotten rid of the unlocks, and again they won't happen until next year. So all in all, I'm bullish on Ondo. I think it makes new highs. Then we have Monero. Has this one topped? Well, it's pretty much there right now, so no. This one could catch a lot of people off guard. Remember, they had a bunch of complications for a large part of this cycle. Those are sort of put to bed now. It's back on a lot of these big exchanges as well. I think this is arguably the biggest sleeper in the top 100 crypto. Now, will it give the most gains? I'm not sure. Probably not. But honestly, all things considered, I could see it make a run for highs. And then we have Pepe. Now, this one is tough because it hits close to home. Remember, Pepe was literally the first thing we talked about on this channel. Did amazing, caught a 50x on it from bottom to top. But now what? It has retraced quite a bit. Has it topped this cycle? Down 70% isn't really showing that much strength. And I think the biggest thing that I want to point out is, remember with those charts like with XLM and with XRP, they were in these ranges, right, before they exploded to the upside. Now here's the biggest thing and where the real alpha comes in. Now I'm not comparing Pepe to XLM, but it's the price action. The coin, whatever it is, you can talk about, but the chart matters a lot. The reason the XLM chart looks so good is, again, it had that range and then it broke out. It's just getting its move started. Pepe, on the other hand, had that range already and then broke out. So with XLM, it's kind of in this zone, which is why I'm so confident with the likes of XLM, XRP, HBAR, whatever it is, we get strong continuation. With Pepe, as much as I love this coin, and as great as we did with it, how much more upside are you expecting? It already made that colossal move. So where something like XLM, and I don't want to sound like an XLM maxi, but it's a lot earlier in that bullish move than something like a Pepe is, or a lot of these other crypto we're about to talk about. That said though, with the subject at hand, has Pepe topped? I don't think so. But the thing is that the comparisons that we draw it to, like SHIB and like Dogecoin, when they got to these levels, which was 10 billion for Pepe, they had massive continuation after. They didn't really reject off of that, with a lot of velocity and volume behind it. That said though, I don't think it's topped. I do think it'll make new highs. It does still have great unit bias. It's on the right exchanges. I think it being the main and only meme coin on ETH, that is good. But just remember what we talked about. Then we have Near Protocol, and kind of the same thing as Avalanche. It hasn't topped, at least I don't think it has, but I don't expect sort of outsized gains from this. They've been milking this AI chain thing over and over and over again. It hasn't really amounted to anything. I think Near will do well. Again, I don't think it'll make all-time highs, honestly, or new all-time highs. But for the time being, no, I don't think it's topped. Then we have Aave. Remember, we hold quite a bit of Aave when I switched all of my Solana into it and Curve. I'm bullish Aave. This one I still don't know though. Not in terms of if it's made highs for this cycle. Definitely hasn't. But in reference to all-time high, I'm still yet to come up with an exit plan for Aave. But no, I don't think Aave has topped whatsoever. In fact, you could say it's in the middle of making a parabola right now. But we'll see what happens once it gets to all-time highs or around there. Then we have Aptos. And this one, I mean, I don't really know. I understand it, the whole, oh, catch up Sui trade, whatever it is. Kind of mid-curve in my opinion because none of it's really happened or come close to happening so far. I understand the controversy with it might be over. Arthur Hayes may have said what he said about flipping Solana. I mean, does it make new highs? Probably. But honestly, not that interested. And then we have Mantle, the Bybit Layer 2. It does seem like they're starting to pay more attention to it recently, so that's good if you're holding this token. Its metrics are pretty good. I do think it'll make new highs, but that's probably it. Then we have ICP. Now, this one is not looking as good as it once was. ICP in that original pump, which lasted up to March last year, was looking very healthy. The community was vibrant, seemed very good. But on this recent pump, it was extremely lackluster. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think it makes new highs this cycle, but beyond that, probably not that much. Now, Trump, I will not comment on the channel. My thoughts on those are reserved for my group. It'd be unfair to them if I spoke about it, but we do have a longer term play with this. So, but Trump, whether I'm bullish, bearish, what my targets are, where they are, I can't really talk about. But if you're in the group, you already know. BitTensor Tau, my highest conviction altcoin. This one again, I can't really get into details. That is only reserved for members in the group. What I will say is that I don't think it's topped. It's holding the 50% drawdown, and out of any of these major AI coins near ICP, whatever it was the closest to matching its March high. I think it is the biggest and strongest AI infra coin. Dynamic Tau is coming out, but again, after that exact price predictions, it's unfair to them if I talk about it on the channel openly. Then we have VeChain. Now, VeChain actually doesn't look as good as those other boomer coins. It hasn't had that strong, crazy impulse upward. That said, it has made a higher high versus that March high, which is a very good sign. So no, I don't think it's topped this cycle. Polygon, I mean, there's no point. I kind of don't even want to talk about it. It does maybe have the nostalgia bid, but other than that, will it make new highs? I mean, probably, but no real edge with this coin or crazy asymmetric upside. So although it will make new highs, not that interested. Then we have Crow, the crypto.com token. I don't think this one is topped. I don't expect it to exactly do amazing this cycle, especially compared to the last. So new all-time highs might be tough. I could see it top somewhere in this zone potentially. So no, I don't think it's topped for this cycle. Then we have Algorand, kind of the same thing. Do not think it's topped this cycle. Chart looks pretty good from where it started, pretty confident in more upside. That said, all-time highs and getting challenged, probably not going to happen. Could see it maybe do a 3-4x to this mid zone here. So no, I don't think it's topped. Then we have Caspa. I'm sure one a lot of you have been waiting for. Realistically, right, at face value, Cas hasn't done anything since the end of 2023. End of 2023, it came up and made this huge run. I understand after that, it made quite a few highs, but none that were convincing. It's been in this range ever since. So if you're a Cas fan and you feel like you're sick of holding the token, well, this is why, because you haven't done anything for more than a year now, even though you have made new highs. That said, has it topped? Now look, it is a pretty distributive pattern. I do think with the natural flows of the bull market, CAS will make a new high. But like I've been saying on this channel, targets of over $1 were always way too much. I mean, I could see it maybe get to like 30 cents or something and call it a cycle there. So CAS, will it make a new high? Probably. Is it the most bullish coin to hold right now? I don't think so. And then we have Render. And this one does not look good, and there's a couple reasons why. For example, Render has already done an incredible return from the bottom, right? 3000%. So like some of those other crypto we've been talking about that broke out of their range and went to the upside, Render's already been done that for a very long time. I guess the question is, how much more juice do you want out of it? Second, the DePIN narrative it's been riding has really been struggling. AI agents stole the AI bid, and that's why so many of these conventional crypto, which we'll get to in the AI sector, are really struggling. It also made quite the lower high versus the March high it had. And now from that March high, it's down 70%. So with Render, I might be interested if it comes down into this range. But until then, it's kind of just in the middle. Unless some real strong bullish catalysts come out and send this thing into rampant price discovery, Render might struggle. Then we have Jupiter. Jupe is great. It's been doing very well in this entire Solana narrative. The only reason the token hasn't done incredible is because of the tokenomics, the fees, what they're doing, JLP. I like all of it. I'm not expecting insane gains, but I do think that it will make new highs. So no, I don't think it's topped. And then we have Filecoin. Has this one topped? One thing's for sure, if it has, this could be honestly the worst performing token this cycle. That said though, maybe a lot like our Polkadot situation in the idea that it's pretty much been ranging for 2 years and a half, doing nothing. This is sort of where the most returns come from, if those returns are gonna come, if that makes sense. So like Dot, I also took a position in Filecoin recently. See what happens. It'll never touch these highs again or even come close. But this is kind of how it starts. And I have the same teal box outlined over here. And I mean, you saw what happened after. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think it's a good potential swing trade from this point on. Based on the idea that forget consensus, people have literally forgotten about Filecoin. It's not mentioned by anyone, and rightfully so. But we'll see what happens. So no, I don't think it's topped this cycle. Then we have Arbitrum, and it's not looking good. And L2 just made a new low recently. Has it topped? Has it not? I'm gonna say it has, but again, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna get sort of those asymmetric gains with Arbitrum. And then we have Fetch. Now, same as our Render situation, it did incredible this cycle, right? A 5,000% gain from bottom to top, did an excellent job riding that AI narrative. But this one, I mean, I think it's top. The chart doesn't look good whatsoever. The recent highs in December, substantially lower than the March highs. This is now looking more and more like a blow off top. Remember, a lot of coins are in this position right now. When Bitcoin tops, they'll then do this. Fetch has already done this, and rightfully so. If you're holding Fetch, and they're expecting it to continue going up without building any sort of base before that. And I mentioned this in a video not so long ago, that the base Fetch is building is not that good for a move to the upside. Unfortunately, I was more right than I probably should have been, because this didn't even end up being a move, it was more a deviation to the upside and then back down. Just something to consider. Even if Fetch hasn't topped and keeps going up, you're probably not going to get the most gains. Then we have Cosmos Atom, and this one we might need to skip. When we're seeing new cycle highs, we won't even be talking about the March high. We'll be talking about highs made back in the bear market in September 2022. So will it make new cycle highs? Frankly, I don't think it matters. Not that interested. And then we have TIA. Now this one, obviously I can't say it'll make new highs. What I will say though is that the chart isn't as doomed as it looks, in my opinion. I could see TIA put up a pretty surprise run. Endgame, will it make new highs? Probably not, but if it can deviate and get successfully back inside of this range, I would be interested to see what happens after. I did recently take a small position in TIA, so let's see how that works out. Even if a coin has topped, it's not the worst thing in the world because it still could get plenty of upside within that range. I think TIA is one of those, but if TIA was currently at $6, $8, then it'd be in a pretty bad position. Then we have DEX. Now, nothing to really comment on here, just made a new high recently, so this one a lot of people slept on. It definitely went under the radar and pulled off a pretty good move, and it probably isn't done. Then we have ENA Athena. So this one has horrible tokenomics as well, but it's been one of the few low float high FDB tokens to come out this cycle that was able to crawl out of the depths it got into. That said, it has retraced quite a bit, 60% down. Doesn't look that good with their decentralized dollar and how it's been able to keep peg, keep doing what it's been doing. It gave ENA sort of a unique bid, being the governance token for such. I think in the next bear market, depending on how the stablecoin is able to keep peg, this could end up being one of my top priorities to pick up. That said though, for now, this cycle, it's close, but I'm gonna say I don't think it's topped. Then we have Optimism. This one, a lot like Arbitrum, I just can't afford to give the green light. It could make new highs, but I don't think it'll matter. I'm just not seeing outsized gains. It's obviously good to be contrarian. That is how you get the biggest asymmetric upsides, but sometimes you just have to mid-curve it. And then we have Injective. So kind of the same exact thing as our Fetch example. The charts look almost identical. Flatlining, accumulation made a huge pump up, retraced, spent some time, and then put in a blow off top. And now with the recent run we had, can we even call this a run? It was more so just a small blip up and then it turned back down, making a substantial lower high versus that March high. So for the sake of it, I will say Injective has topped. If Bitcoin goes on to 150k, it'll run with it. But at that point, I mean, you're better off holding other crypto, in my opinion. Then we have IMX, same thing, right? Gaming has been pretty absent. Every year, we've been hearing that IMX is going to come out with great games next year. You can only keep fleshing that out for so long until people go like, okay, I'd rather move on to the Solana meme coins or whatever it is. Unless gaming gets hot, don't really see Immutable X pulling an insane run. And even if it does, there's going to be better plays out there, like Beam, like Super, like Prime. So for the sake of that, we'll say it's topped. Then we have Stacks. This one, we'll go ahead and say has topped. Great returns. I think it did like a 20x from the bottom, had the narrative, people loved it. I would be interested to pick some up potentially if it comes down to 50 cents, but I think for the time being, we're gonna have to say that it has topped. Now, as great as Solana has done, I think by far the biggest net winner of the Solana casino has been Radium. Now, I don't think it's topped, so if you're holding, I would continue holding, or if you haven't already, at least take some profits off, especially relative to when we talked about it on this channel from back then. I don't see a crazy amount of upside from here. Remember, it's already done more than a 50x from the lows. I could see Radium eventually getting to this cluster up here, but probably not more than that. So has it topped? I mean, potentially doesn't look like a blow off top candle, but if it does get past that, I'm not expecting sort of a huge run. I also think XDC has not topped. Remember, as much as it's gone up, it just started its move. All these coins are gonna ride the coattails of XRP, and if XRP is very bullish, then these coins are gonna follow along. So no, I don't think XDC has topped. Then we have Lido. Kind of the same thing. I don't think it matters. You probably won't even get a 3x from Lido. I think there is way better alternatives out there, so we'll leave it at that. If I had to say something, no, I don't think it's topped, but again, it doesn't matter. Then we have Theta. Not really interested. Has it topped? Probably not. Doesn't matter. I don't think so. I mean, sure, it can give you a 4 or 5x if things go well. You'll be taking on a lot of risk for that. I think there's better alternatives to get a 4 or 5x and more if we're considering best case scenario. Then we have Bonk. I like Bonk. I think it's one of the better Solana memes. Has the right unit bias and listings. I really don't like the chart though. Where Bonk bulls are expecting Bonk to get to, we've never seen other meme coins get to those levels with this type of follow through or the lack thereof. Down 70%. Will it make new highs? Probably. Is it going to get to insane levels? I don't think so. Then we have Move, launched recently. I like this coin. I think it will make highs. How much it pulls back before that, I'm not sure. Something around 35 cents could be very interesting, but I do think this one will make a move eventually. And then we have Sonic, the rebrand of Phantom. It should catch a run. Again, I understand the speed, whatever it is, the hype, but I mean, it'll do well. I'm not expecting sort of a phantom type of run like last cycle. Then we have Jasmine. The chart doesn't look terrific, but I actually don't mind the project that much. Now, I don't think it'll do insane numbers from here. Down 60%. This one is a coin toss, but I'm gonna say it hasn't topped. I think it has a very unique bid with the East, which traditionally can go a very long way. Then we have Quant, and Quant is pretty much exactly at the price it was when the bear market started. It's like we had deviations below and above, but it's right back there. I'll go ahead and say it will make new highs. It's not that much to chase in my opinion, but again, I think it doesn't really matter. I think there's way better opportunities out there. I don't think it makes new all-time highs. Then we have Say Network, and I think this one has topped. That said though, it's gotten so beat up that it could turn into a good investment opportunity. It's already lost the support, and if Say Network can get down to these levels over here at around 12 cents, I could see it being a pretty good opportunity. So if the token's topped, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just don't want to buy tokens that are kind of in the middle after they topped. Then we have Floki, probably topped. It doesn't look that good, down 70%. If it loses this level here, it's lights out. So at this point, I just think there's better risk reward plays out there. Gala, we will go ahead and say, has topped as well. Very dependent on gaming. It has good unit bias for the gaming narrative. Gaming goes crazy. Yeah, Gala Games is a pretty easy bid, but for the time being, I think there's better gaming options, and so we'll say Gala has topped. Then we have XCN, which just pulled a 20x this past month. Has it topped? I mean, probably not, but these types of runs, they're going to need some substantial time to cool off, and even if they keep going up, the upside is going to be limited. Then we have Virtual, and this is a great example of as quick as they go up, they come down. I'll go out on a limb and say it's topped. However, that doesn't mean not to touch this coin. I think if it gets down here in this zone with this support, could be a pretty good buy. The reason I might be leaning toward a top is because with the agent narrative, there's a lot of execution risk. If you're not the best at that certain task, you will get repriced to the downside. By the time the agent narrative gets revived, will Virtual sort of still be the best at what it does? There's a decent chance that it isn't. So because of that, and because of the market caps that we're dealing with, 5 to 1 billion, there might be better options out there. Then we have CRV Curve. Can't really comment on it. They get to know what I think, what my exit targets are, stuff like that. But I am bullish on Curve. And then we have Fartcoin. This one again, I cannot comment on. We're running an entire play on this within the group, so it's unfair to them if I talk about it and speak about potential upside, but I am bullish on Fartcoin. So during the time of this recording, those are the top 100 crypto. Whether I think they've topped or not, to make it clear, I am very bullish on crypto and Bitcoin. I think when it does happen, we will see an explosive altcoin season. That said though, evidently, some coins are probably in a better position than others. And I guess the main thing you need to analyze is if you're holding your bags because you're married to them, or if you have a genuine conviction and thesis on them. For more content like this, make sure you're subscribed. I am posting quite a few videos in that group of mine. So again, if you're interested in joining that, there's a link in description, but we'll leave it there for now, and I will see you guys next time.